All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our podcast. We have a name of a podcast, right, you guys? Did we label one yet? Who knows?
Ed.
Anyways, we are so excited that you're here. I'm here with my co-hosts, Corey Lee and Krista Young. And today in this quick episode, what we're going to be going through is talking about your financial team. Who is that team? Who should be on that team? And we're going to address kind of some of the things that you need to be looking for as we dive into that. Now, offline here, before we started recording this, as we were discussing the direction of where we wanted to go today, Corey brought up the idea that it's probably best for us to start the conversation around who actually should be on a team. Did I state that right, Corey?
Yeah, we want to outline what your financial team should be, who should be on it, and why, just as a starting point.
Yeah. So Corey, who should be on a person's financial team?
So you need a financial advisor or advisors, a CPA. You need somebody to take care of your money. An attorney. At some point, you are going to need an attorney, if nothing else, for estate planning purposes. And then if you're a small business owner, a bookkeeper will make your life a whole lot easier. And then as you progress through life, maybe some other additions, but those 3 and 4 if you're a business owner for sure.
Awesome. I love that. And there could be other people also that a person needs to have on their financial team for sure. But definitely that CPA when it's time, or no, CPA always, an attorney when it's time, a bookkeeper, financial advisor or advisors, and other trusted individuals that you trust knowing your finances that can help consult along the way. Right? Krista, would you add anything to that?
Yeah. And just to dive in, I mean, there's certain things you want to look for in all of those people. The biggest thing we run into as financial advisors is a lot of people think they just need one advisor, and that advisor is going to give them all the information to all the investments in the world. And it just doesn't work that way. So the biggest thing that we try to instill in our clients is teamwork, that it's okay to have multiple advisors. We might be managing the bulk of your money and you might be working with a couple other advisors on the side, or it's the reverse. But either way, a big thing you want to make sure is that your advisors are willing to talk to one another and willing to manage your entire portfolio together.
Well, that's exactly it. And I love that you bring that up, because I think we would be doing ourselves a disservice if we said that we have all of the investment advice out there to give. Honestly, not a lot, but a good portion of the investments that we're looking at, the strategies that we're looking at, they come from other people within our own industry. Yes, we're doing as much due diligence and analysis as we possibly can, but a lot of times we're learning from other advisors within our own industry. So yeah, a lot of our clients, good on them to be talking to multiple people that can give them that investment guidance. I love that. Love that point, Krista. Thank you.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about then. Let's talk about the attorney, and we have an attorney here in the room with us, Corey. Corey is actually by trade, and we talked about this on our last podcast. By trade, he is an attorney, a tax attorney. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Yep. He came into the light and moved over to our side of the world, and he is a licensed financial advisor now too. But he has a lot of his specialty, his degree, and his career practice is within the law, the realms of the law. So Corey, let me ask you the question then. Talk to us about an attorney. Why does a person need an attorney? When, who, go that direction.
Yeah. So from a financial perspective, everyone is going to need an estate plan at some point. If we're doing our job as advisors, you need to be able to plan for your legacy. What's going to happen when you pass? You want to make sure that you, your money, your beneficiaries, your children, whoever else are taken care of, and you need an estate planning attorney to take care of that. And along the way, you may need an attorney for other things. Like I said, if you're a business owner, if you're selling your business, if you're buying another business, you want to make sure you have the right structures in place to begin with before that purchase or before that sell. And one of the big things to look for in an attorney is somebody that specializes in what you need. There's so many attorneys out there. One of the things that frustrated me when I was practicing is somebody that'd go to an attorney that's like, oh yeah, I can do that. And that is not what they do. And then you get an attorney that does a halfway job because that's all they know, or they end up billing you a lot because they've got to do the research into what that is that you need. And that's not worth it. And you can have an attorney for different things. When I was in practice, I did not specialize in everything. I was willing to look at what my clients needed. If it wasn't my wheelhouse, I was more than willing to send them out to somebody else. That's what they did. And then I would still work with my client on what I did. And, you know, we would have a couple attorneys handling their overall legal needs. And so you want somebody that specializes and also somebody that's willing to work with other attorneys and also your greater financial team.
Yeah, well, and you bring up one good point that I had to learn the hard way, and that is if you meet with an attorney that says they can do all the things, sure, they eventually could figure out all the things, but you're paying for them to do all that research. So
Yeah.
you have to be very careful. You're going to save yourself a lot of money in the long run if you do find specialists in what you're looking for. And let's also go back to where you started on the estate planning side of this. If you're listening to this right now and you do not have a trust and a will, just a basic family trust and will in place, get that done. Like it's very template, cookie cutter, easy to put together, but get that put in place immediately. And then down the road, 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road, wherever you are in your career, in your life, with your family, with everything going on, that's when you'll start bringing in specialists, a business tax specialist, an estate planning specialist. You know, there's going to be different types of those moments where you will need to bring in a different law firm here and there.
Yeah, and just another quick note on that is a will and trust, that is not a one-time deal. You don't get that done and you're set for the rest of your life. Life happens, marriage, divorce, kids moving out, whatever it may be, that's something you want to revisit and have an attorney that can do that can revisit and work with you on changing things as life happens.
Yeah. One of the directions that we're talking a lot with our clients right now is we're looking at doing some more of the higher level planning. Estate planning is a lot of asset protection, making sure your assets are tucked away into the appropriate entities, into the appropriate trusts, into the appropriate places that they should be. And I will not be the one that professes to be the master of all of it. But I am so happy to connect my clients to those right attorneys if they can't find one, to make sure that they've got the good asset planning and protection in place. Awesome. Krista, would you add anything to the attorney side of all this?
Not the attorney side, but I definitely want to talk about the CPA side.
Take it there.
We constantly get questions from our clients on what to look for in a CPA. And the number one thing we recommend is a progressive CPA, a forward-thinking CPA. They're kind of a rare breed, so you might have to look around and interview quite a few. But, you know, everybody kind of knows that CPAs in general tend to focus on the past. You know, what did you do this year? Let me plug in all the numbers and here's your tax return. But once you're starting to run your own business and there's a lot of moving parts, you really need to have a CPA who's willing to put in the time to think ahead and kind of find some tax opportunities for you so that you can save some money, you know, down the road instead of just looking behind you. So,
yeah, I love that. One thing that I've had to search out over and over again is, yes, someone that I trust. I do want a CPA that I trust, but I've got to have someone that is willing to, like you're saying, look outside the box, but not just rely on the IRS deadlines. They're willing to say, what is the tax code? Most tax codes are not just black and white. There's a lot of gray area and a lot of interpretation in there. Are they willing to take a look at those? And instead of saying, well, you're going to be audited or you're going to you're going to hire your risk audit on this, willing to say, okay, is this something that we can work with? Is it within the realms of being ethical and within the realms of working with how the tax code is written? Because we have to remember this tax code, the US tax code's tens of thousands of pages. It's a big binder of a bunch of who knows what, but there's only a dozen pages in the actual tax code that tells you how much money you have to pay in taxes. Everything else are the deductions, the credits, the loopholes, the things that you can use within your own world of taxes to bring you into a lower tax bracket, right? The high net worth individuals in this country, all of them aren't paying at a very top tax bracket. In fact, most of them are paying in a lower tax bracket than middle America. And why? Well, because they have a financial team supporting them in the background to show them how to use the tax code and help them use that tax code to get their deductions and their credits and utilize different strategies and different investments and different tools to bring them into that lower tax bracket. Now, Corey, I know in your practice, you do have a lot of specialization in taxation law. I want to stop myself right here. And am I even saying any of this correctly? Because I know I misstep sometimes, but am I going down the right road with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just hitting on the tax code is people forget that the tax code was written to tell us what we need to pay taxes on and how we can lower our tax bill. And there is no obligation to pay as much as possible for taxes. That's what the tax code's there for. And hitting on why a forward-thinking CPA is so important, I was talking with a small business owner recently that has owned their business for 30 plus years and just last year learned about some very basic business owner deductions, such as the mid to heavy vehicle deduction. They had no idea about this. And they're like, why didn't my CPA tell me that? You know, they've had the same CPA for 30 years. I mean, just simple things. And when it comes to CPA or, you know, any of the professionals, you don't know what you don't know. You rely on them, which is why that team is important, because we as advisors mention things to clients that their CPAs have never told them. And then they go back to their CPA. If their CPA has no idea what they're talking about, that can be a good sign it's time for a new CPA. Or their CPAs will be like, oh yeah, that's I just didn't think about that. Let's make that happen. And so that's where the professionals help each other out, making sure the client's best interests are being taken care of.
Yeah. Krista, I know, kind of watching you and how you run your portfolio and work with your clients. I know you also do a lot of specialization with CPAs, or you find specialized CPAs. Tell us a little bit about that and why.
So every industry, you know, whether you're working with a dentist or a chiropractor or a farmer or whatever, they have different opportunities that are available to them. Sometimes it's, you know, some people think that the tax world is just this nice little neat box and it's so simple and you just follow the rules. It's really not. You know, we go to college and get different degrees because that degree is so expansive. It's the same in the tax world. So if you're working as, you know, running a business as a dentist, maybe look for a CPA who specializes in dentistry, because he's going to be aware of certain tax credits and tax benefits that you can take advantage of that a CPA in the farming industry may not even know about. So you don't always have to go the specialized route, but sometimes it's really beneficial.
Love that. And I love that you've been able to help your clients find those specialized ones. Now, a lot of you listening to this do love your CPA and think your CPA is doing a great job. And we have to say, fantastic. Absolutely love that. Number one most important thing with any CPA or anyone on your financial team is that you like them and trust them, because they're dealing with your finances. And so more than anything, have that trust with them. No, if you're kind of questioning whether or not, well, I like my CPA, I trust him, but I don't know if he's progressive, so to speak. We'll talk to them. Talk to your CPA and say, hey, I'm just wondering, I paid in a 33% tax bracket. I'm wondering if we missed something. What else can we look at? And kind of start to question and push your CPA a little bit to get creative, to do some research, to look around, to talk to other people also within his industry to see what else they can do. Because CPAs know that if you're paying up into the 30% tax brackets and starting to teeter on a 40% tax bracket, they're probably missing something if they can't at least pull you down into the 20s on your tax, on that marginal tax bracket. So make sure your CPA is willing to have that conversation. The other thing that we're finding as a financial advisor, as an investment advisor, is we have a lot of different investment strategies that have cool tax implications associated with them. There's some deductions, there's some tax credits, there's losses, there's different things that we can use and apply on your taxes to help also bring you into a lower tax bracket and to save you significant dollars in taxes that you would have had to pay to the IRS. Well, is your CPA willing to take a look at those investments also? That's something that we're finding is so important, is that when different financial professionals are all working together and communicating with each other on your behalf, that's when you're really going to see your finances accelerate quickly. Okay. The number one loss on our finances that we have is taxes. Now, we're not here to say taxes are bad and evil. Taxes are definitely a necessity on how our nation is built. However, are we using the tax code correctly? Is the CPA and the advisor and the attorney and the bookkeeper and all these professionals, are they coming together on a cool Zoom meeting and saying, hey, what are you doing? What do you propose, right? It takes just a quick 45-minute conference call to treat you as the client as though you're that celebrity sitting there, getting your financial team together, working on your behalf, because you should get that kind of service. So as you're pulling your financial team together, don't be afraid to interview other people. Don't be afraid to bring on multiple people that work in the same industry, multiple accountants, multiple CPAs, multiple financial advisors, and make sure they're talking to each other instead of against each other. Let the financial professionals battle it out with each other together in a constructive conversation instead of you being the mediator between all of it. Everyone needs to talk together and work on your behalf, because in the end, we all just want to get better at our jobs too and help you be successful. We're not just sitting back here working nonprofit, doing our thing. We're all making money too and dealing with the same tax complications that you are. So there are a lot of ideas floating out there. So with all that said, do either of you have anything else you want to add to this conversation before we wrap it up here?
I would say one more thing is the most important person on your team is you. Remember that we're all working for you, and take time to research what's being discussed. Like Justin said, look into the people you want to bring onto your team and trust yourself. You're a part of this. We're all working for you. You don't have to just do what we say. And so, if everybody's not working for you, including yourself, something's missing.
Krista, anything else?
Yeah, I agree with that. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If your CPA or somebody gets annoyed that you're asking questions, maybe it's time to find somebody else, because we love it when our clients ask questions. It means that they're invested, we're invested, and everybody's working on the same playing field.
I love it. Well, with that said, guys, let's wrap it up here today. Thank you all for tuning in here. Your financial tip for the day: go find that financial team, get them communicating, and let's accelerate your wealth. Have a good one.